Start
Hey,
our
oh, let's go. Oh, oh, oh,
start our little a cappella group.
oh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the QUACKCAST. This is QUACKCAST number 551. I'm Ozone Ocean, and with me is Tantz and Baines. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
This week we're talking about tropes that we love to hate.
Yes. It's the only thing they're good for.
Yeah, and it's fun to talk about things you hate. It is. It's life affirming. It's an enjoyable experience, and you learn from it because you learn more about the stuff you love, and you learn that
Yeah. It's funny because Tantz always has interesting news posts, but today
Oh.
when he had that title, just with hate in the title, I'm like, I have to read this right now. It's such a clickbait. It's so appealing for some reason. Like hate. Like I need to know.
Well,
Hey.
that's a modern trope I hate. That things that hating stuff is bad. Oh my god, why are you hating? Why are you such a hater? Hate, hate, hate. Oh, for goodness sake, it's hyperbole. For goodness sake, we've got to be allowed to use exaggeration in speech. And
We're artists. We love and hate. Nothing in between.
yes,
Yeah, exactly.
black and white to us, yin and yang. It's war and peace.
The binary.
Yes, exactly. We are
Binary
binary.
thinking.
But before we do that, we've got to bring up the featured comic. I featured a comic this week, and the comic that I featured is called Secrets of Uncrom, The Balance of Life and Death. So I'm going to talk about that now. Hello, I'm Ozone Ocean, and my feature for the week was Secrets of Uncrom, The Balance of Life and Death. Due to the unfortunate circumstances of his birth, Delu had always been shunned, but Delu had a plan to unite and lead the tribes to better things, no matter what got in his way and who he had to die to make his dreams happen. The art of Secrets of Uncrom, The Balance of Life and Death, is intricate and beautiful, all digital. The colours are bright and pretty, from the lovely skies to the jewel-like leaves and carefully rendered muscles of the characters. The story is fantasy drama, and it's only just beginning. It's a very simple story so far. It's going to broaden out as it goes on. There's only about 15 pages, which is the minimum number of pages to feature for the comic, but that's enough pages for a comic to really sort of just start the story and kind of pick up steam, and for the readers to get into. That's why we keep it that way. And yeah, so this is at that stage. So if you read now, you can slowly get into it and be part of the story and start enjoying it. It's an interesting little comic about a whole bunch of tribes who worship their own particular god kind of avatars, sort of based on animals, and they all have these animal masks that represent them, which is interesting. So I don't know, bunny rabbits and deers and cats and things like this, bats, lizards, and they look pretty cool. But Delu has ideas of his own, and I think he wants to rule all the tribes, possibly because he knows how he's going to direct things, and he knows how to change the world. You know those kind of leaders, they just know, and nothing will get in their way and nobody will stop them, like President Putin, for example. He's one of those sort of people that he's got an idea. He knows how to lead people, and it doesn't matter who's going to get in his way, because nothing matters. So there's a bit of a pile of dead bodies he has to get through. So yeah, Delu is the same sort of character as that. Anyway, enjoy Secrets of Uncrom, The Balance of Life and Death, and this is a comic by a person calling themselves Secrets of Uncrom, and it's rated M for mature reading. And that was the featured comic, which was Secrets of Uncrom, The Balance of Life and Death. So next up we have the featured music. Garmelis has given us a theme to a comic called The War Below Us, which I think was already featured by Quai. So, a rhythm, heavy, relaxing. Oh God, I didn't describe that well. It's a rhythm, heavy, relaxing piece. A tribal dance sound that sends you floating away on soft clouds lit by golden lights and joy with the faint smell of incense. Too much energy to meditate, but great for concentration. So take it away, Gunwallace, with the theme to The War Below Us. And that was the featured music. I was giving us the theme to War Below Us. The War Below Us. And that's a comic by Pudding Lemon 98. So definitely give that a check out. Okay, so we're talking about tropes that we hate. We love them. We love to hate them. Or do we hate to love them? I don't know. Like the writers, they hate to love them, and we love to hate them. I don't know. Tantz.
I don't hate to love them because I don't love them. So I'm good.
So, Tantz, you brought up a number of great little hateable, universally hateable kind of tropes, and the one that really struck me is the plot armor one, because yeah, now that's something like it could turn into a Mary Sue kind of thing where nothing can harm the character, and it can become really annoying because why the plot armor is so bad is like you realize very quickly that nothing's going to harm this character. All these bad situations aren't ever going to be bad enough to hurt this character or to impede them in any way. So it takes away the drama and the tension, because why should you feel tense or worried for the character if you can see that they're going to progress to the end point because that's what the story demands. Like that's what characters are going to do anyway most of the time, but if they're written well enough, it tricks you that that's not going to happen.
Exactly. I mean, pretty much plot armor exists in all stories, unless you go for grimdark, I guess. So there is plot armor to a point for all main characters that are supposed to get to the end of the story. But the point is to make the plot armor invisible and not completely impermeable in a sense. Like enough plot armor for the characters to survive, but nothing more than this. And that is enough for suspension of disbelief, because I guess in real life, until we die, we do have plot armor. We do survive weird things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do the same for your stories. And I did say that I do have like an exception to the rule that I really enjoy, and that's all the 80s Schwarzenegger movies where it's so fun. Because, of course, you're not interested in the plot. You know what is going to happen. The point is the journey.
Yeah, you
to
just
the
along
end.
for the ride. Say, like Raw
Yeah.
Deal is ridiculous. People bring up Commando often because the unlimited ammunition, where he's got that M60,
Yeah.
just walking along and shooting everybody in the whole world perfectly,
Without even moving, like.
one-handed. But Raw Deal
It's wonderful.
is even more
It's
ridiculous.
wonderful.
In the movie Raw Deal, he has a car full of guns, and he's just shooting and shooting, and then he wastes bullets, so he throws the gun away and picks up another gun and starts shooting, and then another gun, and it's just this unlimited mafia people just everywhere waiting to be shot, which is more silly than in Commando. At least they're like soldiers. So you imagine there's going to be a whole army. But why would there be an army of mafia people just willing to die? So yeah, that's my favorite Schwarzenegger.
But it's so enjoyable. It's so enjoyable because you don't go as the audience, and that's a big issue. As an audience, you don't go into that movie to worry about the characters Schwarzenegger has. You know that it's going to be a tank that mows everyone down until the end. It's not that. You know that. You are there just to see him be a tank.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Exactly. He was
But
the
in other cases,
Muhammad Ali of 80s movies. He was just there to watch the guy do the fighting and do the beating up the other guys. That was
exactly. I mean, and the earlier you go in his movies, where he was more into the bodybuilding thing, the more this becomes even like it's like vintage wine. It becomes even better. It's like- I love it. But if I were to take the movie seriously, I would be good. But the movie itself doesn't let you take it seriously. It's really giving you all the signs that sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. This is basically a theme park ride.
Yeah.
So
there's not other characters pretending the man is in danger, running around going, "Oh my God, you're so amazing," or like, I don't know, like he doesn't have like sidekicks that don't share the plot armor. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what would highlight it as being plot armor
there is
in
like
a bad way.
token sidekick that doesn't have plot armor and dies often to make the tank even angrier. There is that. One current series of movies that the main character has plot armor, it is still a popcorn movie featuring a tank, and it's done in a semi-dramatic way. It's John Wick, falls in the same category, and I absolutely love it.
Oh,
Like,
I'm opposite to you. I don't like John Wick for other reasons.
Oh my God, I love it. But again, I don't take it seriously. I take it like a cartoon, or like, that sort of thing. It's. I'm not supposed to take it realistically in any way at all.
Well,
so it's fine.
Now that you've brought up John Wick, this allows me to talk about a trope that I hate. It's a modern trope of the balletic, as in ballet, the balletic, the amazing choreography of the shooter that just goes bang, 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 and like magically shoots everyone. Like the Schwarzenegger version was like just like a very rough kind of ragged kind of like, oh, shoot, shoot, shoot. But in this modern trope is like mathematical precision of the shooter can kill everyone, and I hate that because it's used so much, and it's like gratingly unrealistic. I mean, I don't want my movies to be absolutely realistic, but it's used so much, like.
And again, it's like the way it's used. Like I can say, I'm not like I don't hate it to that point, but it can be annoying. There is an exception for me that I really like, but again, it is baked into the plot, and it's like I try to remember the title. It's a dystopian sci-fi movie starring Christian Bale, and he is this priest kind of guy who shoots up on some drug that makes everything without emotion, and he has a gun kata. I'm going to find the title because
sounds cool.
It is, and he has this sort of like he's a cleric is the term, and they have this very difficult sort of martial art / shooting technique that takes years to develop, and he's the best at it, and he moves in a very not ballet though, I would say a lot more like a mix of Tai Chi and some kind of other martial art, maybe karate or something, and then he shoots around and it's super precise and fells everybody, and it's designed to be that way. And a lot of the plot revolves around that. I'm going to find the title because it's one of my favorite movies, and I still forget its title.
I'm going to say it's Empire of the Sun.
It's not.
It's weird to think that is a Christian Bale movie.
It is really good.
Equilibrium, it's called.
Oh, okay.
Highly recommended. It's basically, if you have ever read Aldous Huxley as an author, it's that and the science fiction together with a less pessimism, I would say, but it still is like a commentary on emotions and stuff like that.
I'll have to look that up. Equilibrium. It might be available on Amazon Prime, which is my main. I'm not advocating for Amazon Prime. It's just that I pay for it, so hopefully I can find it there. I don't pay for Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian Bale and Watson, the main leads.
So yeah, that gives a. So one of the things that we're talking about in this kind of loving to hate tropes is the fact that tropes can be used well if you know what you're doing. So that the Equilibrium is an example of one that like has a reason for this very accurate kind of movements. Whereas my feeling with John Wick is it's only doing that because it's trope. I mean, the man is meant to be an expert hitman.
He's a prodigy assassin.
Yeah, like this amazing assassin guy, but they're showing it the wrong way. I feel that they're showing it the wrong way because that's just it's taking things too far, and it's tropey and it's silly and it's it's just not.
I don't mind. I actually like it for John Wick. I think it really suits the whole thing. But again, it's a matter of taste, and I can absolutely see where you're coming from because it is super unrealistic and it is really asking you to suspend a lot of disbelief and to just roll with it.
Well, stylistically, I find it that kind of like shooting like pretty boring. And the bigger problem is the fact that, I mean, John Wick is a very unrealistic film. It's a silly idea, and it's a cartoonish idea, which is fine. You know, a bunch of assassins having their own hotel, you know, and like their big coins and stuff like that. So yeah, there's no problem with that. But everything now does this, like from James Bond to like what's this other thing with Bourne, you know, that was doing that years ago.
I don't like that. I don't like Bourne Identity, which is an unpopular opinion. So.
But yeah, and everyone is doing this, like this, you know, mathematical shooting. Like it is basically what you were saying, like with equilibrium, in that people are doing like judo or karate with guns, hand-to-hand combat, unarmed combat with pistols, in that, you know, like move here, move there, shoot, like, don't do it. You're just stealing stuff from classic kung fu movies, classic Hong Kong kung fu movies, sticking them in American movies, and like stylistically mixing stuff up in a way that doesn't fit, and everyone is doing it. Anyway, that's my rant.
I think I think it's really though that everyone is doing it, and everyone is doing it without necessarily building it up more than just hand waving it the way he's really good at it. That's why he's like that. Whereas in the movies that it works, it usually is shown that this skill took a lot of work, first of all, and it's not something that just happens because, you know, he's just very good or something like that. Yeah, there is, in Equilibrium, there is even a whole sequence where it shows the class and it shows how hard it is to actually do it. And again, without wanting to spoil it, there is this showdown between Christian Bale and some other guy that's supposed to also be very good, and you see the difference in skill. You know, between two super ballet shooters, I guess. But it is treated as a skill set, not as amazing talent that someone just happens to have. And it works.
I suppose, like, to refine why I hate it, it's because the balletic style of shooting, the karate shooting, comes to represent, like you were saying, like someone who is good at fighting or someone who is good at shooting, and they do that by showing that, like this this hand-to-hand combat, like with pistols. And that becomes like, you know, like we show a scientist, we show them like wearing a white coat, and that indicates they're a scientist. We show like an expert assassin by showing this kind of thing, which is, you know, that is what a trope is. It's a shortcut to, you know, to show a particular style thing or a cliche, and that's why it's bad. Whereas what you're talking about isn't using it as a trope at all. That's using it as part of a story. Yeah, so. That's when it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it goes for every trope. If you work on it to actually make it organic in the story, chances are that even the haters are going to be okay with it, at least, or even like it. I mean, at some point, depends really on how it is built. But yeah, speaking of fighting tropes, I really don't like. I don't like the Chinese flying karate fights. Flying martial artists that jump from bamboo tree to bamboo tree like birds, and they sort of perch there, and then they just glide and at some point extend their foot and then land on someone's face, and I don't really
balance
like.
on the end of a sword. That kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
all of that. All of that.
That.
Yeah, I've never been really a major fan of that either. Even they do it in one of my favorite movies is Big Trouble in Little China, and they do a bit of that in the final fight, but I just tolerate it.
Well, in Big Trouble in Little China, it's a deliberate kind of like stylistic parody of that kind of thing.
It's sort of, yeah, exactly. It's referencing those kinds of movies with the, like kung fu, and yeah, that's true.
And it's doing
it's
it well.
Legit. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
like,
it's a.
I don't mind it. I was just going to say I don't mind that in like proper Chinese kung fu films because it's stylistic, and it's like part of, for me anyway. For me, it's part of the genre. But when it has transitioned years ago through the Matrix mainly, transitioned wire effects basically, transitioned into mainstream Hollywood where it doesn't fit, and every fight for a long time had wire effects because wire effects was the big new thing. Like, oh, we can erase it in green screen, and have these wire effect fights, and they're so stupid because the movement is done in such a way that you can see where the pivot point is for the frickin' wires for all these movements, and they're too slow, and none of them look like they're actually doing jumps or anything. It just looks like some idiot hanging from wires.
In the Matrix, it worked because they actually explained why they could do it, because they were in a freaking game. They were in a computer. They could defy the laws of physics for a reason, and it worked really well because it reminded you that they are not in the real world when they did that. Exactly. And that worked, I think, really well. But when you have, and I guess I can sort of tolerate it if like the fighters are wizards as well, and they sort of use the magic and they levitate or stuff like that. But not saying that, oh, he's a master of martial arts and that's how he can fly. No. No. And I say that as a person that is a Kenshin fan. And Kenshin sort of lives basically like a flea if fleas were people.
Oh, anime. And I can't get into tropes. I hate an anime because they're just all of them. So many stupid tropes. Well, okay. I'm going to bring up another one I don't like because I was just thinking of James Bond. So I used to love James Bond films. They were stylized and silly and cartoonish, but I loved them anyway. And then we have the era that everyone loves with this guy who's just had his last James Bond film. I can't remember his name.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, that's it. And everyone loves him, but I hate it because it takes all the fighting tropes. So he does like the gun martial arts, he does the wire effects, and he also does the parkour. So that became a super fashion back in the mid-90s sometime when parkour was on the radar for some reason. And then all the characters in films have to be expert at parkour, and it doesn't fit with the character. Like, parkour is not a real thing in that, I mean, obviously parkour is a real thing, but no one who does parkour runs up buildings and does these amazing jumps and stuff like that. How parkour is done is they do a series of moves that they practice 7 bazillion times in order to get right, and then they film it. Or maybe they just do like, okay, I do this jump, I film it, and then I do this jump and I film it. You don't do like climbing up this building, climbing up there and running up there. That never happens. That's impossible. And it's so it's unrealistic. Fair enough, whatever. But it's just annoying that everyone does it in films, and it becomes a the trope for someone who is skilled and really like a super spy. Don't use that. Everyone uses it. It's been done.
Until the next super hit movie comes where the spy is like a Colombo type guy, and then everyone will be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate the trope of a guy in a podcast who just takes over everything and just keeps on talking over everyone. That's really annoying, so I'll stop it. Your turn.
Baines, it's your turn to say.
Well, mine are, I mean, the ones that come to my mind are very subjective. I guess a lot of them are similar, like plot armor is only a hated trope when you notice it personally. You know, like when it becomes, it's stretching your disbelief subjectively. You know, so on the X-Files, like, why isn't Mulder ever fired? Why is he able to keep doing what he's doing and breaking all the rules? Like, why isn't he fired, if not by the legit FBI, then by the conspirators?
Yes.
And they address it a little bit, you know, they address it somewhat, but it's like, it stretches belief after that.
Yeah, definitely.
And similar things like Dexter. I'm rewatching Dexter, and it's great. But it's like maintaining the balance of his life and having him not getting caught. It's like I think they do it well for the seasons I've watched. But it is kind of like, okay, they have to sort of stretch things a little bit to make it happen sometimes, to make him able to maintain his secret and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a good.
So it's, you know, stuff like that. Anyway, so the subjective thing. So that's the plot armor one. But one that bugs me, but it's so subjective, is like when a movie or show will make a reference that I get and I laugh, but then they explain it later.
Oh,
they like kind of dumb it down and explain it. I'm like, you're ruining, and it's super annoying to me. But yet other things, like, I won't get the joke and it'll be explained and I'll be like, oh, okay, I get it now. So it's like super subjective, you know. I see a lot of like references to older things now because I've seen so much stuff movie-wise and everything. Like, are certain things I pick up on so quickly that I'm like, oh, a lot of people think that's original, or they wouldn't get that reference or something. So it's a mixed bag. Like, sometimes it's great to catch those references, and then sometimes it's like, oh, you're just ripping something off. Like, I've seen this exact thing in another movie 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be a big one, like stuff that's over explained, particularly jokes and references. That's when it annoys me, I find.
Yeah. It ruins the joke. It's like actually when someone tells a joke and then explains why it's funny, and then it's not funny anymore.
Like they say, it's like dissecting a frog. Like, you definitely, if nothing else, you kill the frog.
Yes.
Yeah. Very true.
The one thing I really also don't like is the romantic tropes where you know that the couple is going to have a major fight about something stupid right at the beginning of the third act. It always happens. And it's usually something that would be easily resolved if they talked to each other.
Yeah.
Even in a fight, just talk to each other. And it will be resolved like magic. Yeah. And we won't have to go through the entire third act.
Oh, I don't know. Been in a relationship that actually happens. Talking doesn't work.
No, seriously, okay, I understand that, but it also has to do with the people's personality. Often they go stupid or they forget parts of their own personality for this to happen. What I'm saying is that usually they are the person that is very articulate, very open about things that they are thinking or stuff that happened, But for some reason, they will not talk about this thing that is super vital for the relationship. Doesn't make sense. I hate it. Thank you.
When you see a screenplay working, I know exactly what you mean. Like when you see the screenplay, like, okay, we need the breakup here, or we need the tension.
Exactly.
Immediately setting up. Yeah, exactly. Even in a great show, like when I see those mechanics at work, it's like, okay, this is not quite ringing true. Like obviously they're setting up something for the ending.
Exactly.
That is. Actually, I'm rewatching Burn Notice, which was TV series from the early 2000s. You know, it's one of these fun kind of action dramas. And that has all these things you're talking about, Baines, like with the plot armor stuff. Like, he's meant to be a spy, and like he burns spies, so, you know, everyone knows who he is, or like, you know, they think he's bad or something like that. And there's bad guys after him, but like, why isn't he being tracked down? Why he lives at the same place, doesn't move to it, doesn't hide, and he always goes back to his mum's place. You know, why aren't these people eliminated? Why? And they do what you said. You know, they kind of explain it away in some kind of things, but not enough, and it becomes pretty thin. So, you know, realistically, that should have only lasted like 2 seasons, but it lasts, I don't know, maybe 8 seasons or something like this, and he's still like at large, still doing his thing, and they still can't catch him, which is weird. But they also do what you do mention, Tantz. Like, he has this this relationship with this like female spy who's his friend, and every episode or every second episode they have this, you know, big argument happening because of a misunderstanding, or, you know, just because the writers want there to be an argument. They want there to be a problem between these two, and it doesn't make sense.
And you know, if you want them to fight, at least have the balls to have them fight for something serious that can be a deal breaker and is a deal breaker, and then have them build it back together. Don't make them fight about something that is silly and paper thin.
Yeah.
Well, they go in the other direction, in that they try and make it about something serious, and then they resolve it in the same episode. And if it was so serious, then why is it resolved so easily? Like, thank you. That turns it into a meaningless thing.
Or it can become a really tone deaf in that. Oh, we're fighting because I hate part of who you are, for example, and I cannot tolerate you and your choices in life. But in 30 minutes time, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And then I'll be not okay with it.
The next episode is...
Go on, Ben, sorry.
Because the next episode is about something else.
Yeah.
It's all fun.
And then the next episode after that, they have their fight again about the same thing, or a different variation. I'm fine with that about you now.
Oh my God!
I hate
this. Another note that I hate. Sorry, please go on.
No. I was just rambling. You go on.
Movie ends with a couple getting together. And they either marry, or they are going to be married, or in general they have their thing going for them. Second movie begins and they are divorced.
Yes.
Hey, we didn't expect this movie to be so successful.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a sequel.
Well, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Where is his beautiful love of his life gone?
Yeah. Well, that I can understand, because he had, like, in the other movies, he had different Jones girls, I guess. So getting back with her is a plot I can, get behind. But take Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Strange choice that was.
Yeah.
To break them up. Yeah. It was a shame.
They had such chemistry. Like, why? Why are you doing this?
They could have done the exact same story and had them married. She just wasn't there if they wanted to do it that way and have her save the day. I didn't like that either.
It could easily have been the fact that one didn't want to ever see another dinosaur again, and the other one wanted to go to the dinosaurs. That's good enough for a couple to fight.
For sure.
And be a couple. And you can have your thing.
Yep.
I hate it.
Would have been better. That would have been much more interesting. That would have helped part 3. Was it part 3? That would have helped that movie.
Funnily
Give
enough,
it some little more depth.
I've only seen the first one, and I sort of have this feeling in the back of my head that there are no other Jurassic Park films. There's only Jurassic Park, and the rest don't exist.
You're probably okay there.
For me, it's just one film.
Yeah, because I think the third one is the one where you have this super capable kid that survived in the dinosaur island on its own for like a month.
Oh, okay, really. It's been so long I don't remember clearly, other than the couple.
So, yeah, and his bumbling parents go to get the kid, and the parents are completely incompetent. The kid is like a survivalist.
Of course. Wow. Well, that brings up another trope that you wrote about, Tantz. The smart
the
kids that save the day, and the dumb parents that don't do anything. Well, dumb adults that don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Which there are exceptions, of course, when we have valid reasons for there not to be any adults. Like maybe they don't know, like in The Goonies, which you brought up. So that's, this is something that they stumbled upon, or like there could be a world where maybe the adults have all died or been kidnapped or whatever. So there's valid reasons.
Yeah, you have said that, and I would be a hypocrite saying that having capable kids in stories is not good. I mean, I do have capable kids, but they're still kids. And they do need the adults.
Yeah.
So
the idea that the problem happens when you have adults, you have like policemen and things like this in the story, and they're all useless, and the parents are useless. That's when it gets annoying. And when I was a child watching these things, like, it was the same. It's not that I'm an adult now and I think, kids. When I was a kid, I was annoyed by that kind of thing. You expect those people to do stuff. You don't want to have ultra super capable children who don't need any help from anyone and all the adults are useless. That's just stupid.
Yeah, and it's even for kids, it's completely outside kid reality. Not having, and it actually is for kids, if we want to go, down the path of psychology, that is like a nightmare fuel for kids. Not having a parent or some adult to rely on is really stressful for kids. They need to have some person, at least, if not many, that they feel that they can rely on and they look up to, and they can have some kind of reference on how to navigate life, which is the natural thing. So yeah, I mean, you can have, like, for example, in a war-torn situation, kids are forced to become adults, but that is a completely different trope than what I'm talking about. So, no spy kids. Thank you.
Spy kids.
Spy kids. I was thinking that's got to be the ultimate example. Yeah, spy kids.
Oh god, a film I watched recently had ultra capable kids and an evil adult, which is always a good film. It was Night Books with Kristen Ritter as the star. Not as the star, as the bad guy, as the bad witch, evil witch, and two reasonably capable children. combating her, and that's when it's done well, because like the adults aren't useless because there's no adults there except for the evil person who is an adult, and so it works. So you just got to set things up properly.
That reminds me a little bit of the Peter Pan trope. That's a completely different trope, though, from what I know. So they are very similar, but they are not the same.
It's very much a Peter Pan story.
Mm-hmm.
True. Well, anyway, it was a film that was done well, and I recommend it. A good scary story movie.
Yeah. Speaking of another story that features basically a kid, she's quite a capable kid, is Pan's Labyrinth, and it's a scary, freaking scary.
Oh yeah, that's a good movie.
Highly recommended as well. It's done really well.
I loved. I like the miniseries, but definitely the book, parts of it at least, Stephen King's It, where the kids are isolated by the fact that there's sort of, I guess, an enchantment or some kind of certain cast to the town where the adults don't see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see how negative everything is. And also the concerns of, and it works on a sort of an allegory where the concerns of kids are kind of invisible to adults in some ways. Kids do have their own world, and so when it works on that level. Like you said, Tantz, that like kids do want that protection and someone to look up to and someone to be protecting them.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of us, maybe it's changing as the years go on, but maybe not completely, where like a lot of your struggles are, very kid-like, and adults aren't really, they don't know about it or they don't get it.
Yeah. Well, if you have like an explanation why the adults cannot be there for the kids, that can work.
Yeah, like on a literal level, it's explained also. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it's a creature that only attacks, feeds on children, who have these dreams and insecurities and stuff like that. So,
and it's nesting under the town. Also, this is subtle stuff, but it's there. It's expressed and it's kind of explained, like where adults don't notice bullying, like the nasty stuff that's going on is kind of ignored in this town, and that's part of the effect of the creature that's under the ground. So yeah, it's not just the allegory. It had to be sort of addressed on a literal story level too.
And Stephen King's very good at tapping into those universal factors of human nature.
Yeah, and kid nature. Like Stand By Me too is similar. Like that effectively like isolates the kids. The movie, anyway. I've never read the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being set in the 50s helps too. So it's different after that. But.
Yeah, and it does that bloody well. Yeah. So now we're talking about things we love.
Well, yeah, we're just inherently positive folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do it next time.
All right. One thing that as a graphic designer, this is my job. I do this for years, and I'm pretty decent at it. And there's, of course, the graphic designers. Well, not graphic designers in films, but we have someone looking at security camera footage or like some photo, and then there's of course the idea of enlarge, enhance, enlarge, enhance, enlarge, enhance, and that is something that you automatically hate because it's impossible and it's stupid and you can't do that.
Yeah.
And the really galling thing now is that with AI and its usage on image recognition and image enhancement, is that is actually becoming a reality, and you could actually imagine that, yeah, police or spies would have access to that technology. So that has gone from being something you hate because it's unrealistic. Now, like, you're not allowed to hate more because it could be realistic. It could be people can actually do that.
Not though. Sorry, at least not yet. You still cannot enhance infinitely and not get pixels.
Oh yeah,
So,
and well, and to a certain point with these what the AI does is it sort of interpolates or interprets what would be, what would be where these pixels are, and it creates like, okay, so that would be hair, or that would be like foliage or something like this, and it can restructure stuff, but to a certain
it's
point,
not reality, because if you are looking to find the reflection on the glasses of the guy in the CCTV,
yeah.
they cannot have the AI imagine.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, like, to a certain point it is, because it this is going to be able to show data, but if you keep doing it, it's going to be fantasy, and it's just going to be like, okay, this is like just totally made up, and that is just a cold hard reality of the limitation of lenses and like footage and compression, image compression and stuff like that. So you're very right in that there is a limit, and then it becomes like just ridiculous. But it is quite silly, and it has been. I think the first movie that was really done in was Blade Runner. And
that's what came to mind. As soon as you brought this up, that's what comes to my mind right away. That long scene.
I don't know if that's the first one, but it's the first one I noticed.
Science fiction. Sorry?
I was saying, I don't know if that is the first, but it's the first I noticed, and it's a very iconic thing. It's like, there's the image, and the reflection in Snake's eye, and reflection.
Yeah.
But even in science fiction,
accept it though. You can accept it in Blade Runner because they have artificial snakes that look just like the original item, and you have all sorts of technology that we don't have right now, so you can suspend disbelief that they have the technology to have like 5 million pixels compressed into one, and you can enhance as much as you like. So sure. Okay.
Yeah. That's sci-fi.
Well, Google is telling us that we've only got 5 minutes left, so we should probably just quickly machine gun all the other tropes we hate.
Okay, one last one.
Yeah.
It was all a dream. I hate that.
Yeah, that's a lazy ending. Oh, that is so hateable. That means that they disrespect the audience by telling you everything you watched and emotionally invested in is meaningless. We fooled you, and it's not clever because anything can be done as a dream. Another thing that annoys me is the trope of, you're really in the Matrix, nothing you see is real, and this is reality. But this isn't reality either, because this is another level of the Matrix, and then there's another level, and another level, and there's another level, and that like shits me. Like, just give us objective reality and like fantasy. Don't level it up. That's just because everything can be considered to be like a new level of the game, and that means that there is no level of reality to become invested in and to think of as real, because nothing matters. So don't do that. Anyway, let's wrap it up. Bye.
Woohoo!
Bye-bye.
Bye, all. Tell us which tropes you hate.
Yay! Yes.
Comment in the comments.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
Like and subscribe. Wait, are we on YouTube? Whatever.
Smash that like button.
Let
Smash
your
that like-
hatred feel you. Like it's going exactly as I planned.
Hating tropes flow through you.
Yes.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.